Chapter 101, Family and Goal. As the students returned, word spread through the Sansi Stellar Cultivation Camp that Li Qi had comprehended a law, and 8 Territory Lord rank instructors had come to pay their respects. Rolando, hearing the news in his dormitory, was stunned. Even my family's old ancestor hasn't comprehended a law, he thought, and Li Qi actually did. Rolando came from a Territory Lord family whose 9th rank Territory Lord old ancestor was the pillar of the clan. That old ancestor had perfected his genetic primal energy, but still hadn't comprehended a law, otherwise he would have long since broken through to World Lord rank. Rolando felt deflated. I just broke through to domain twofold, thinking I could close the gap, but now it's only widened. Ian read the message on the light screen in his own dormitory. His friend from the Stellar Cultivation Camp had sent it. Li Qi Royce. He clenched his fists. As planetary-level domain geniuses, he had once been much stronger than Li Qi. He had even overseen Li Qi's entrance exam at Chaoguang Academy. He'd assumed Li Qi's earlier 3- or 4-fold domain achievement was the peak of his talent. He never expected Li Qi to be far from his limit and now to have comprehended a law. Ian himself remained at domain 4-fold. Law comprehension still seemed distant. The gap between them, even as planetary-level geniuses, suddenly felt immense. He forced the thought away, took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and went back to cultivating. If he could reach domain 5-fold, he'd have Betkos's recommendation to join the Lava Secret Realm as a reserve member. He resolved to push to 5-fold as fast as possible and cut the distance to Li Qi. In the standalone building at the center of the Territory Lord Instructor Quarters, Li Qi sat on a large sofa, lost in thought. Among his family, the most talented were Second Dad, Big Brother, and himself. Since Second Dad and Big Brother, father and son, had died, only Li Qi could become the family's pillar. Grandfather and Third Dad have decent aptitude, he thought. With resources, they'll probably reach universe rank eventually. Of the rest, only 13 show slightly better aptitude and might become a Territory Lord. The others are ordinary. To get them to universe rank will take enormous resources. To change that, he could only rely on bloodline potions to improve aptitude, at least universe rank bloodline potions. That would raise other family members' chances of becoming universe rank and gaining lifespans of 100,000 years. Money, he felt the weight of it. Each bloodline potion cost a fortune. To improve the 3rd generation's ordinary members would require nearly 40 bloodline potions. He stared ahead and made a decision. Cosmic Peak Genius Battle, he said to himself. Only by placing well in the Genius Battle can I get enough bloodline potions. If he could rank in the top 1,000, he could become the lord of several star systems, like Luo Feng in the original tale. Managing several star systems would bring enough income to buy bloodline potions and other resources to help his family cultivate. Being in the top 1,000 also meant becoming a core member of the Virtual Universe Corporation and the Great Axe Battleground, connections and benefits that would make everything possible. It might also give him a shot at resurrecting his big brother. He wondered when the next genius battle would be. For someone racing against time like him, 700 or 800 years would be ideal, enough time to greatly increase his strength while not leaving family members with insufficient aptitude to die before reaching astral rank. He opened his communicator to contact his family, but a message from the Stellar Cultivation Camp caught his eye. He read it slowly. He muttered, reading on. The notice said he was now a core member of the Lava Secret Realm. He didn't need to finish the trial missions of the Stellar Cultivation Camp, and he could keep the mind energy weapon and force armor he had exchanged earlier. He wondered if the Lava Secret Realm itself had ranks. Another unread message flashed. This one came from the Lava Secret Realm. Congratulations, Li Qi Royce. Because you have comprehended the Wood Origin Law, you have been made a core member of the Lava Secret Realm. A ship has been dispatched to the Sand Sea Stellar Cultivation Camp and will arrive to pick you up in half a month. Half a month. Li Qi read the words again, puzzling over the implications. If the Lava Secret Realm was taking him as a core member immediately after law comprehension, then perhaps it did use ranks. According to the older students' rumors, one normally needed domain 5-fold, sometimes even 6-fold, to enter the lava secret realm. Still, astral rank law geniuses were rare even in an intermediate universe country, and core membership implied a very high status. Core members had to be top-tier talents, people who could compete for the top 1,000 in the Qianwu universe country. He closed the message and called his father. The line clicked busy for a second and then connected. Derek's face filled the screen. Ha! 11, I was just about to call you. Derek laughed. Then he asked, half kidding, did you do something? How did grandfather suddenly become city lord of Kaoguang City? Li Qi blinked. When did that happen? Just recently, Derek said. Father even asked me if you'd done something to prompt the high officials of the Lava Empire to issue the order. Li Qi understood at once. This was a goodwill move from the higher-ups because he had comprehended a law and been accepted into the Lava Secret Realm. He smiled. I didn't do anything. It's just because my aptitude is good enough. I'm going to a higher-level cultivation ground than the Stellar Cultivation Camp. Derek sounded surprised. Is the Stellar Cultivation Camp not the highest? How can there be something above it? There is, Li Qi said. But it's very hard to get into. The requirements are strict. Be careful then, Derek warned. It shouldn't be dangerous, Li Qi replied, though his smile faded. It's just that once I go in, I'll have less time to contact everyone. Derek paused, then forced a relaxed tone. That's fine. Cultivate hard and become a universe-ranked powerhouse like our Kuka Star governor. Li Qi nodded. I will. I'm on patrol right now. I'll call you when I'm back. Your mother keeps asking how long it's been since she last heard from you. Okay, I'll wait. When the call ended and the light screen closed, Li Qi's expression was complicated. He knew Derek loved him, but was awkward about showing it, his own way of caring. Derek's aptitude was ordinary. Breaking through to astral rank was doable, but without aptitude change, reaching universe rank would take massive resources, and becoming a territory lord even more so. I must become strong, Li Qi resolved. I must gain resources and change the aptitude of father, mother, and the rest of the family. Back on Kukastar, Li Qi had always been careful not to reveal his true aptitude. Even in the Stellar Cultivation Camp, he'd kept a low profile. But in the Lava Secret Realm, this small stage would be his to fully display his abilities without fear of exposure. From here, his goal would begin. Become powerful, obtain the resources the family needed, and lift them all. End of Volume 3. I'm writing the detailed outline for Volume 4, so this is only one chapter. I'll add to it later. Chapter 102, Departure and Treatment. On the Lava Emperor Star, within the Imperial Palace, there was a secluded garden. Lush trees and blooming flowers formed a small, natural paradise. Beneath a broad canopy, Hoka sat cross-legged with his emerald eyes closed, handsome, pointed ears, green hair, lost in meditation. He opened his eyes, and a mental command brought up a light screen. Reading the information, he murmured, the Luo Sa family of the ancient Thunder Empire. He snorted softly. Bold, daring to lay hands on someone Gu Lete favors. The screen scrolled more details. Daniel de Luo Sa, World Lord, rank 9. Hoka rose and muttered, half amused, half resigned. Looks like I'll have to move this time. With a thought, he sent 2 separate messages to 2 World Lord commanders, then flew toward the spaceship docking bay. By the time he arrived, an E9-class ship waited ready. On board, a squad was already assembling under the command of the 2 World Lords, Siwait and Duya, 6 territory lords and 60 universe-rank cultivators, 68 people in all. The ship launched for the ancient Thunder Empire, accelerated to light speed, and entered the dark universe. A territory lord, noticing the expected overseer was absent, sent a cautious transmission. Commander Siwait, did we forget the overseer? Siwaita replied, he'll appear when needed. Our duty is to complete the mission he assigned. Isn't it overkill for 2 world lords to lead a team against just 2 territory lords? The territory lord asked. Siwaita's tone stiffened. Do not underestimate a family that once produced an undying spiritual god. Even in decline, their foundations are not comparable to ordinary world lord or territory lord families. A territory lord from that house might possess a heavy treasure capable of threatening us. The territory lord's forehead beaded with sweat. He had almost forgotten the De Luoluosa family's history, how it once produced an undying spiritual god and accumulated countless riches and heavy treasures. Siwate transmitted the warning to the other 5 territory lords as well. This target is extraordinary. It once produced an undying spiritual god. Be careful in the engagement. I don't want to attend your funerals. The 5 territory lords bowed and acknowledged. Yes, Commander Siwate. Siwate said nothing further. To limit the risk of leaks, he had not informed the 60 universe-rank cultivators of the target's true nature. Though the family had declined, its connections and hidden reserves made discretion necessary. Duya, standing beside him, confirmed the order. Disperse. When the personal guard teams, except the 2 World Lord commanders, returned to their prearranged cabins, Duya added, with the Overseer watching this time, we'll complete the mission perfectly. After the others left, Duya continued privately. The Luo family produced an undying spiritual god long ago, tens of thousands of epochs. Judging by the intervals at which they've produced world lords, most of those ranks were built by consuming family resources. After tens of thousands of epochs, their foundation must be nearly exhausted. Other undying spiritual gods wouldn't care to intervene for them anymore. I know, Siwate answered. Still, caution is warranted. Duya nodded. Caution never hurt. At the Sansi Stellar Cultivation Camp, Li Qi waited for the ship that would take him to the lava secret realm. During the more than half month of waiting, he contacted his family every day. The unusual situation had worried his mother, Wen Ni, until his father Derek and Li Qi himself explained matters and reassured her. Once aboard the ship bound for the lava secret realm, Li Qi reduced the frequency of his calls and told them why so they could adapt. Inside his cabin, he read the light screen's briefing on the lava secret realm and muttered to himself, prospective members, official members, and core members. To normally enter the lava secret realm, one's domain must reach the 6th level. With a territory lord's recommendation, the requirement is lowered to the 5th level. He continued reading. Students whose domain is at the 5th or 6th level can only become prospective members upon entering the lava secret realm. Only when a student reaches domain 8th or 9th level can they be promoted to official member. Those who have comprehended law can become core members, the fewest in number, receiving the best treatment. Core members can freely read most of the secret law texts in the lava secret realm. Li Qi's eyes brightened. Access to most of the secret law texts. The advantages were obvious. Secret law texts were priceless resources, the very foundation of power. Allowing core members free access was a generous treatment. Even more crucially, there was no ban on teaching what they learned. A core member leaving the lava secret realm would be a walking treasury of secret laws, enough to build a knowledge base comparable to a territory lord or even a world lord. He paused, skeptical. No, an astral rank law prodigy, even if they don't become a core member of one of the 5 great giants, will still enter a high-level universe country's secret realm to cultivate, or at worst join an undying rank power for intense nurturing. The secret law texts of territory lord and world lord powers are just icing for this level of genius. They're more suited to training family heirs. Li Qi admired the Lava Emperor's approach. Free access to secret law texts filled him with gratitude. With those materials, his family's chances to break through to territory lord or world lord rank, especially territory lord, would greatly improve. He wondered why the Lava Emperor would invest so much to nurture geniuses. Was it to earn rewards from the Qianwu country lord for producing talent? He didn't know the exact rewards for raising geniuses, only that the original records hinted high-level universe country lords received contribution rewards. To make an exalt rank expert bother nurturing geniuses, those contributions must be substantial, perhaps exchangeable for heavy treasures or ultimate treasures. As Li Qi's ship headed into the depths of the lava secret realm, the E9 class ship carrying the Lava World Master's personal guard had already reached the ancient Thunder Empire, stopping not far from the Luo family's planet. Upon receiving the personal guard commander's report, the Lava World Master, far away on the Lava Empire, began contacting the Emperor of the ancient Thunder Empire. As fellow vassal states under the Qianwu Universe country, the Lava World Master naturally had the ancient Thunder Emperor's contact information. Author's note, I'm not in good condition, so only one chapter today. Including the 2 chapters I owed before, I now owe 6 chapters total. I'll try my best to finish them before the launch. Chapter 103, Lord of the Greenwood Realm. Inside a magnificent manor on a world within the ancient Thunder Empire, Goulet Emperor stared at the incoming video call request on the light screen before him. He frowned, puzzled, but accepted. The light screen flared and the face of the Lava World Master appeared. Goulet Emperor smiled slightly. Lava World Master, do you need something? Goulet Emperor, Your Majesty, the Lava World Master began. Then the call ended abruptly and the screen went dark. Goulet Emperor's smile faded. His expression hardened as displeasure crept in. They were already taking action, and only now they were informing him. The Lava World Master had just told him that a personal guard unit under his command would annihilate the Luo family. It was an announcement, nothing more. The unit had already reached the Luo family's home planet. If it were only the Lava World Master, Goulet Emperor thought, his strength as a high-level immortal military lord would be enough. He could crush him by any price. But the Lava World Master was arrogant and powerful. His weapons and armor were 8th-tier champion level, matched against Goulet Emperor's own arsenal. In a normal fight, it might be even. Yet Goulet Emperor was an undying spiritual god. If he chose, he could burn his eternal divine power, multiply his might 100-fold, and turn the tide in an instant. He didn't want to, and he didn't dare. The Lava World Master's background was too deep. Not only was his personal strength comparable to an ordinary immortal military lord, but he also had a sworn brother, Rong Dian Hao, who had barely reached champion status. That alone made him a formidable pair. More troubling, rumors placed the great Qianwu country lord quietly behind the Lava World Master. Word from a king-level Undying said the Lava World Master was undergoing a test from the Qianwu country lord. If he passed, he might become that great being's disciple. The Qianwu country lord had neither confirmed nor denied it. The implication was clear, and it explained why so many Undyings dared not provoke the Lava World Master. Goulet Emperor sighed inwardly. A disciple of the great Qianwu country lord, what terror that would be. Still, he could not ignore the practical. Although the Lava World Master hadn't informed him in advance, his guard unit could only carry a limited share of the Luo family's wealth. Only the spatial rings worn by Daniel's World Master and his subordinate territory lords and universe-level members. The rest of the family's wealth would belong to him. That thought soothed him. Nearly half the wealth of a deeply established World Lord family would do a lot to restore his mood. On the Luo family's home planet, an E9-level spaceship that had departed the Lava Empire appeared outside the spaceport. The control tower, unable to identify the new ship's model, sent a polite docking request. Please proceed to the designated berth as directed. The ship complied. When an astral rank attendant went to collect the docking fee, he froze. The figures disembarking could have killed him without effort. 3 terrifyingly powerful individuals led the formation, a presence the attendant had never encountered. Behind them came 6 territory lords and 60 universe-rank powerhouses. The attendant was terrified and dared not approach. Hoka, flying at the front, transmitted orders back to the 2 World Lord leaders a step behind him, Siwei and Duya. Control everyone. Do not let any news leak. Siwei and Duya acknowledged. Within moments, the spaceport was under the guard unit's control. I will deal with the Luo family's World Lord, Hoka said over the comms. The rest you arrange. As Hoka rocketed toward the manor where Daniel Luo resided, Siwei relayed, Duya and I will handle the 2 territory lords of the Luo family. 2 territory lords and 20 universe-rank members will remain at the spaceport to intercept any departing ships. Duya added, Ye Ning and Hawa's teams will stay. For the family's core universe-rank members, you decide the targets to kill. Understood, the territory lords and universe ranks replied respectfully. Under Siwei and Duya's leadership, everyone but the 2 designated territory lords and their universe-rank team entered the planet. Inside the opulent manor, Daniel sat with his eyes closed, cultivating. His understanding of the laws was middling among world lords, but he had not given up. He spent substantial time each year on cultivation. You are? He asked, opening his eyes when he sensed someone. A handsome green-haired man sat a short distance away. Hoka studied the World Lord before him, young in appearance but with an aura of decline, and said bluntly, "Your lifespan is nearly over." Daniel nodded. "Yes, I have only tens of thousands of years left." The circle of world lords was large but tightly knit. Although there were millions across the Chanwu universe country, few reached world lord rank 9. Daniel remembered every one of them. He looked closely at the world lord before him. His aura was clearly rank 9, but Daniel didn't recognize him. Hoka smirked. "No wonder you were so bold. A dying man is more reckless." Daniel frowned. "I don't understand. What are you talking about?" "I'm from the Lava Empire," Hoka said. Daniel's expression changed. "You're from the Lava Empire? Then I know why you've come. This was a private matter. Any territory lord of my family acted alone. I can hand him over and offer compensation." "No," Hoka shook his head. "Gulate said he wants to establish his authority with you. You must die, and the Deluluosa family must be annihilated." A cold light flashed in Daniel's eyes. "If the Lava World Master himself had come, I would have no chance. But you, perhaps you cannot kill me." Hoka gave no answer. He only looked at Daniel with the gaze of someone viewing a corpse. The stare chilled Daniel. He stared back at the green-haired man, then realization struck. "Green hair. Gulate." His face changed dramatically. "You're the Lord of the Azure Wood World." Chapter 104. Death of Della Rosa. Any world lord with a title is no ordinary world lord. Each possesses extraordinary power. The Lord of the Azure Wood World first rose to fame over 2 million years ago during the Lava World Master's legendary battle, when he actually repelled an undying spiritual god head-on. It was the Lord of the Azure Wood World who started that clash, and the treasure he obtained drew an undying spiritual god to seize it. After a brief confrontation, he managed to escape. If Lava World Master had not arrived in time to stop that undying spiritual god, the latter would have burned his eternal divine power and killed him. Being able to briefly engage an undying spiritual god and survive showed that his strength and comprehension of the laws were extremely close to an undying spiritual god's, placing him among the top tier of world lords. Coupled with his mind energy weapon, the Fifth Order Green Vine Pillar, second only to a controller's 9 divine weapons, and his mastery of the Wood Origin Law, he is known as the Lord of the Azure Wood World. Lord of the Azure Wood World was already a top-tier world lord, almost on par with an undying spiritual god, 2 million years ago. I can't compete with him, and his law comprehension has only improved since then. Daniel's face tightened. Damn it, why hadn't he recognized Hoka sooner? If Daniel had realized earlier that his opponent was the famed Lord of the Azure Wood World, he would have played his trump card long ago. Why waste time sparring? It wasn't entirely his fault. Most world lords had only heard the name and had never seen him. Some knew the Lord of the Azure Wood World was reclusive and rarely spoke to others. Some even joked he spoke more to the dead than the living. Hoka had also used tricks. A decorative headband hid the Wood Origin Law acknowledgement mark, so Daniel had no way of knowing he stood before a world lord who had received law acknowledgement. "Oh, you know me?" Hoka asked casually. Daniel forced a smile and steadied himself. It wasn't hard to guess. There aren't many world lords who would call the Lava World Master by name, and with the green hair, it could only be you, Lord of the Azure Wood World. "E9 3, Hoka said, tone indifferent. "This model of laser gun needs 3 seconds to charge and fire. 3 seconds is enough time for me to kill you." As he spoke, Daniel launched himself through the ceiling, trying to fly free. He broke out of the room, but as soon as he rose, he slammed into a wall of green vines and bounced back. Within 100 meters of the chamber, the air was filled with countless tiny green tendrils, and a perpetual green light shone from the gaps where they intertwined. Daniel hovered, his limbs heavy. Under that light, his speed and strength were sharply suppressed. Clutching a black E9-class laser gun, he looked up at the sky braided with vines and felt his heart sink. This is the Green Vine Pillar's 5th move, Vine World. Daniel had planned to break into the sky, pull an E-level ship from his world ring, and flee to other high-level universe countries to rebuild his family. He hadn't expected Hoka's casual conversation to be a setup. The law fluctuations he had sensed earlier were the Green Vine Pillar being unleashed. Now, with Vine World combined with the Lord of the Azure Wood World's powerful world projection, a large part of Daniel's martial capabilities had been crippled. He was already outmatched, and now even more so. More vines glimmering with green light stabbed through the roof. Two intertwined, rotating vines, seemingly growing without end, reached for Daniel in the sky. Green vine pillar's second move, endless vine. Daniel cried, retreating and dodging, astonished. He hadn't expected Hoka to control two green vine pillars at once. A fifth-order origin saber materialized in Daniel's hand through his mind power. He slashed fiercely at the ever-extending green tendrils. A metallic clash rang out. A few fragments of green light fell from the severed vines, but those pieces quickly merged back into the green glow spreading across the sky vines. What? Daniel's pupils narrowed. He couldn't cut the endless vine. As an old world lord nearing the end of his lifespan, he had faced world lords who wielded the green vine pillar before, but never had he been unable to sever the endless vine. The vines coiled around him instantly. Their crushing force made his bones creak. The tiny vines overhead contracted rapidly, knitting together into a towering pillar above him, a colossal column of interwoven tendrils suffused with the wood origin law. Green vine pillar's sixth move, pillar reaching heaven and earth. Despair flooded Daniel's eyes. Pillar reaching heaven and earth. Only world lords extremely close to the undying spiritual god level could unleash that move. He had no defense. Lord of the Azure Wood World, he roared in a last, desperate breath. The towering pillar descended. Though Daniel, a ninth-order world lord, struggled with everything he had, the law power crushed him. The old ancestor of the Luo Feng family, ninth-order world lord Daniel de Luo Feng, died. Hoka rose slowly from the hole in the roof and used his mind power to retrieve the dropped E9 class laser gun, world ring, and other relics. I told you, 3 seconds is enough to kill you. When the gun's charge display returned to his control, it read 93%. On the de Luo Feng family's ancestral planet, at a certain manor, Ennio de Luo Feng drank alone. Ever since the capture mission failed, he had been stripped of his family inheritance rights and barred from interfering in any of the family's affairs. The order had come from the old ancestor. No one dared oppose it, not even him, a domain lord. Ennio lifted a glass when a terrifying aura descended behind him. His whole body froze, a world lord-level presence. He turned and saw a tall, muscular, one-eyed man in black metal battle armor standing on the balcony. Ennio, the stranger called. I am, Ennio said, voice thin. I wonder. Great. Before he could finish, Seawait drew a fifth-order origin battle axe from his world ring, flashed across the room, and brought it down. The manor exploded in ruin as the ground collapsed. In the wreckage, Seawait rose with his axe. Ennio was dead. Elsewhere, Duya hovered and surveyed the sunken ruins below, where another domain lord of the de Luo Feng family lay lifeless. After confirming the death, Duya left. At the same time, the Lava Emperor's personal guard struck every core universe rank member of the de Luo Feng family. All of them died. The once glorious de Luo Feng family, apart from members who had been away on business, lost every remaining core member. The surviving family branches could not defend the family's vast wealth. Within a short time, those fortunes were devoured by rival powers. I still owe 1 chapter. I can't finish the 2nd chapter, so I will release them together tomorrow. Chapter 105, Secret Realm and the Lord of the Lava Realm. Near Lava Emperor Star lies a small secret realm. Li Qi had taken a spaceship into that realm and, staring at a holographic projection of a single continent, murmured, "The Lava Secret Realm. I've finally arrived." He had assumed the name was only symbolic, perhaps a base on Lava Emperor Star itself or inside a World Master's domain. He hadn't expected it to be an actual secret realm. The realm was vast but run down. Only one continent remained intact, and it wasn't large, just over 100 million square kilometers, roughly the size of a small life planet in primordial universe terms. On the continent stood several tall structures and many low-rise building complexes. As his ship landed, a territory lord rank expert waited nearby. The hatch clicked open, and Li Qi stepped out. The territory lord greeted him. "I'm Cheng Ji, the executive manager of the Lava Secret Realm," he said with a smile. "Li Qi Royce, I've heard my teacher praise you before, calling you an extraordinary genius with boundless future potential." "You flatter me," Li Qi replied modestly. "May I ask who your teacher is?" "My teacher is the Lava World Master," Chengji answered. Li Qi understood immediately. This referred to the Lava Emperor himself. Please follow me. Chengji led the way, flying ahead. Because you became a core member of the Lava Secret Realm after comprehending the Wood Origin Law, my teacher thinks highly of your talent. He's invited a very powerful world master to be your mentor. A very powerful world master? Li Qi repeated, intrigued. Yes. Chengji sounded matter-of-fact. If my teacher calls him very powerful, then he truly is. Li Qi nodded. If the Lava World Master considered someone very powerful, that World Master's strength would be top tier, perhaps on par with an undying spirit god. May I ask who this World Master is? Territory Lord Chengji, he asked. You'll see when you meet him, Chengji replied enigmatically. Li Qi let it go and followed him toward a low-lying estate complex in the distance. The group of estates each covered tens of kilometers, spaced a kilometer apart. There were hundreds of them. This is where the core members of the Lava Secret Realm live, Chengji said, hovering and pointing. There are currently 14 core members. Besides the 13 occupied estates here, you may choose any unoccupied one. 13 occupied estates, Li Qi thought inwardly. So there are 13 other law geniuses besides me. He had expected to meet only peers from the Cosmic Peak Genius Battle, but here were astral rank law geniuses as well. Chengji noticed his subtle reaction and smiled. This group of core members is small. 14 astral rank law geniuses is still few? Li Qi asked, surprised. Indeed, Chengji said with a shake of the head. Do you know how many core members there were at the peak session? How many? 89. Chengji's tone held a trace of pride. In that Cosmic Peak Genius Battle, one of our core members reached the top 7,300 in the universe. Impressive. Li Qi couldn't help but praise. Breaking into the top 7,300 in the universe meant reaching the second stage of the finals and qualifying to compete for the top 1,000, a true sign of exceptional talent. But that was during the peak era, Chengji added with a sigh. We haven't had anyone reach the top 1,000 of the Qianwu universe for several sessions. Li Qi thought that made sense. An intermediate universe country established only a few million years ago with just over 400 galaxies producing a top 7,300 genius was already remarkable. Many intermediate universes struggle to place in the top 1,000 at all. Choose an estate and register at the entrance. Then enter the Lava Secret Realm's virtual universe. My teacher wants to speak with you, Chengji instructed, and then flew off. The Lava Emperor wants to see me. Li Qi picked an unoccupied estate, flew inside, registered his communicator at the gate, found the consciousness sensor, donned it, and logged into the virtual universe. Virtual universe, Qianwu continent, Molten Rock Island, Lava Secret Realm. With his login point set to the Lava Secret Realm, Li Qi opened his communicator and saw an invitation from the Lava World Master. He confirmed it and was instantly teleported to a magnificent palace. At the far end of the hall sat a towering throne. On it rested the Lava World Master, clad in metal battle armor with skin like molten ember. Your Majesty, the Lava Emperor, Li Qi said, bowing slightly. Li Qi Royce, your rate of growth has exceeded my expectations, the Lava World Master said, his praise plain in his voice. You have not disappointed my decision to conceal your special identity. Thank you for concealing it from me, Your Majesty, Li Qi replied. Such treatment befits a genius, the Lava World Master said before changing the subject. You comprehended law less than 5 years after entering our cultivation system, far beyond ordinary prodigies. As an exceptional talent, you deserve a reward. Do you remember the 6 universe rank individuals who tried to attack you? I remember, Li Qi answered. Those 6 had a World Lord rank family backing them, the Lava World Master said. What? Those 6 were supported by a World Lord family? Li Qi was startled, then a cold clarity settled over him. They must have been after that mysterious leaf. He had wondered why they had attacked him. Now the motive became clear. A treasure that could help someone comprehend law would be invaluable to a World Lord family, possibly even capable of nurturing World Lord experts. It made sense they would go to such lengths. Do not worry, the Lava World Master said calmly. A short while ago I sent people. The core members of that World Lord family were annihilated. They are no longer a threat. Their downfall is only a matter of time. Thank you, Your Majesty. Li Qi said, and bowed in gratitude. I did not tell you this to earn your thanks, the Lava World Master continued. I told you so you would know. The World Lord of that family, the one destroyed this time, is the mentor I have invited for you. As he spoke, the World Master brought up a light screen that appeared before Li Qi. Chapter 106, Green Vine Pillar. The light screen showed an expanse of green, and within that wash of color, a figure flickered as a long green vine pursued him relentlessly. Li Qi frowned. He soon realized what he was watching, a battle recording between two world lords. The one dodging was a martial artist. The other, controlling the green vine, was a psyker master. In moments, the martial artist, who had been evading non-stop, was bound by the vine. Then the green expanse condensed into a towering pillar. The martial artist cried out in despair and was crushed beneath it. Lord of the Azure Wood World, he gasped before dying. Li Qi repeated the name silently. This was the mentor the Lava Emperor had arranged for him. To kill a world lord in a single blow, the Lord of the Azure Wood World had to be a top-tier world lord, his comprehension of law nearing that of an undying spiritual god. No wonder Chengji Territory Lord had called him very strong. A titled world lord with strength nearly equal to an undying spiritual god would be more than capable to guide Li Qi. His name is Hoka, the Lord of the Azure Wood World, the Lava World Master said. He's returning to the Lava Empire now. You'll meet him soon. Yes, Li Qi replied. As the Lava World Master finished, a green-clad figure appeared in the palace. Li Qi saw a handsome man with green hair, a decorative headband hiding the law recognition mark on his forehead. Hoka inclined his head toward the Lava World Master, then looked at Li Qi and asked, Is this him? It is, the Lava World Master answered. Follow me. Hoka turned and flew out of the palace. Li Qi hesitated. This Lord of the Azure Wood World hadn't even recognized his own student. Was he reliable? The Lava World Master caught the look and transmitted, Hoka is a bit eccentric. You'll get used to him. Relieved, Li Qi followed out. The setting had changed. They were in a garden of tall trees and small pavilions. Under a large tree, Hoka sat waiting. Li Qi walked up and bowed. Mentor Hoka, these are the materials for my psionic weapon. Take a good look. Hoka said nothing more, but a light screen appeared at his gesture and drifted in front of Li Qi. Li Qi read silently, Green Vine Pillar, psionic weapon of the Wood Origin Law, extremely difficult to wield. 5th tier top-grade psionic weapon, second only to the 9 great divine weapons of the controllers. It had 6 forms. First form, Azure Wood Thorn, when wielded, invincible among the astral rank. Second form, Endless Vine, invincible among the universe rank. Third form, Heavenly Net, invincible among the Territory Lord rank. Fourth form, Mimicry Azure Serpent, represents a relatively powerful level among world lords. Fifth form, Vine World, when combined with a world projection or domain, it reaches its maximum potential with extremely strong binding power, top tier among world lords. Sixth form, Pillar reaching heaven and earth, wielding this is invincibility among world lords, approaching full comprehension of the Wood Origin Law. Li Qi thought through the descriptions. The first 3 forms were described as invincible in their realms, but that only meant they outclassed ordinary peers. Against true geniuses, the deciding factor remained law comprehension. The first form likely required only an initial grasp of the law, similar to the first form of the Yan Shen weapon, deriving God weapon, from the original work. From the 6th form's description, wielding it probably required near-complete law comprehension, around the 9th level of the Heavenly Bridge, approaching the 10th. Estimating inwardly, Li Qi placed the 5th form, Vine World, at a top-tier World Lord level, around the 7th or 8th level of the Heavenly Bridge. The 4th form, Mimicry Azure Serpent, would be about the 6th level. The 3rd form, Heavenly Net, which dominates Territory Lords, likely required 4th or 5th level Heavenly Bridge comprehension. The 2nd form, Endless Vine, may be around the 2nd level. Overall, each form seemed to demand at least one additional level of Heavenly Bridge comprehension to advance to the next. No wonder the Green Vine Pillar was famed as a top-tier psionic weapon, second only to the 9 great divine weapons. Li Qi thought about those 9 divine weapons, 8 formed by combining one of the lower laws, metal, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, lightning, light, with either space or time, and the 9th formed by merging both space and time. Those divine weapons were notoriously difficult to use, but immensely powerful. Their final forms could rival an undying spiritual god and sometimes served as a transitional tool for poorer undying spiritual gods who couldn't afford true sixth-tier psionic weapons. Finished reading? Hoka asked. Yes, Li Qi answered. Hoka's expression shifted and another light screen appeared. He waved it forward. This is the secret technique I created, he said flatly. His voice, though soft, carried a clear edge. Do not spread it, or I will kill you. Li Qi's eyes widened. He had seen Hoka's single-strike killing blow in the recording. The remark was not an empty threat. He nodded quickly. Understood. Your green vine pillar will be provided by the lava secret realm, Hoka continued. You can cultivate the secret technique and the green vine pillar whether you are in the primordial universe or the virtual universe. He hesitated, as if unused to conversing at length with anyone besides friends. 3 months. If you can't wield the first form of the green vine pillar in 3 months, you're not suited for it. Li Qi glanced at the light screen again. It detailed only the wood origin law cultivation and the green vine pillar technique. If, given just those resources, he couldn't manifest the first form in 3 months, then Hoka was right. He simply wasn't suited. That's all for today. Only 2 chapters. Chapter 107, Azure Wood Thorn and the Essence of Laws. Half a month later, in the manor where the core members of the Lava Secret Realm lived, Li Qi sat cross-legged on the floor. Before him hovered a green staff woven from countless vines, the green vine pillar. It measured 1.08 meters and consisted of 10,081 green vines of varying lengths and thicknesses, each etched with secret patterns of the wood origin law. 10,081. What a strange number, he mused. Perfection's life gene level is 10,081, and the original star opens once every 10,081 epochs. This must be the perfect number of the primordial universe. He focused his mind, and 9 small green vines flew out from the pillar, swirling in the air. Combine, he murmured. The 9 vines danced together and began to intertwine. Where they met, dozens of finer threads reached out as if about to weave into an azure wood thorn. Then, suddenly, one thin strand snapped. The break triggered a chain reaction. Other threads tore apart one by one. The budding azure wood thorn collapsed and disintegrated. Li Qi exhaled and wiped sweat from his brow. Just a little more, he told himself. He had almost completed the formation, but at the critical moment, it unraveled. Even with his law comprehension, stronger than a mere initial epiphany, casting the first form, the azure wood thorn, in the virtual universe proved difficult. He thought it through. His mind power in the primordial universe was far stronger than in the virtual universe. Cultivating the azure wood thorn there would be easier. In the virtual universe, lacking a 32-fold life gene level, his progress was only average. Fortunately, the azure wood thorn experience in the primordial universe gave his cultivation a significant boost. I won't need more than a month to succeed there, he estimated. Once I can form it in the primordial universe, familiarizing myself with it in the virtual universe will be straightforward. Continue cultivating, he urged himself. Master the azure wood thorn within 10 days. He kept at it. 6 days later, his voice rang out with triumph. It's done. A long green thorn, formed by 9 intertwined vines, spun around him, trailing a ribbon of emerald light. It radiated with faint but unmistakable fluctuations of the wood origin law, powerful even to behold. Li Qi retracted the azure wood thorn and frowned. It's not enough, he said. I can cast it in the primordial universe, but to earn recognition from the Lord of the Azure Wood world, I must be able to cast it in the virtual universe as well. He entered the virtual universe and continued cultivating for several days. Eventually he managed it, barely, forming the azure wood thorn there. Afterward, he sent a message to Hoka, the Lord of the Azure Wood world. The reply contained only an invitation. Accepting it, Li Qi was instantly transported to a garden. Master Hoka. Li Qi bowed slightly as he saw the Lord of the Azure Wood world seated beneath a great tree. With a gentle movement of divine thought, Hoka sent a green vine pillar over. Li Qi received it with his mind power and formed the azure wood thorn smoothly, the process this time flawless. The long green thorn, trailing its light, flew through the air. Very good, Hoka said, nodding faintly with a trace of praise. I will guide your cultivation once a month from now on. Once a month? Lychee thought the interval sparse, but he accepted it with a nod. Hoka continued, if you have any doubts about the wood origin law or the cultivation of the green vine pillar, speak them now. Lychee laid out everything, his confusions about the wood origin law, especially the insights he had gained from observing that mysterious leaf. He tried to describe the law comprehension the best he could. Drawings and secret arts would explain it more clearly than words, he knew, but he still explained as fully as possible. Hoka's understanding of the wood origin law was profound, nearly complete, so he could grasp most of what Lychee meant. Hoka listened with mild surprise, then said, your confusion centers on one essential nature of the wood origin law, resilience. Essence. Lychee feigned ignorance, though he knew what a law essence was. The wood origin law has 36 essences, Hoka explained. Comprehending and integrating all 36 will allow one to truly understand the wood origin law. He raised a finger. This is what you are struggling with. Lychee felt something push up from beneath his feet, not a strong force, but persistent and tenacious. Looking down, he saw a small blade of grass growing horizontally from the soil under his shoe. It had pushed up from the earth beneath his sole, and seeking sunlight, had bent and crawled along the sole of his shoe until it reached his foot, where he finally noticed it. Watching that tiny, determined sprout, a realization flashed through him. Is this the resilience of life? He thought. He stood rooted, as if struck by an epiphany. Many of the confusions that had arisen from observing the mysterious leaf suddenly fell into place. The Lord of the Azure Wood World sat quietly, watching Lychee sink into contemplation without interrupting him. After some time, Lychee returned from that deep comprehension. All right, Hoka said softly. I imagine many of your doubts have been resolved. Go back and cultivate the Azure Wood secret art. You will gain much. Yes. Lychee nodded and logged out of the virtual universe. The day's gains were enormous. Not only had he resolved his confusions about the wood origin law, he had converted that understanding into true comprehension. If he continued to cultivate the Azure Wood secret art, his grasp of the wood origin law would rise even higher. As Lychee left, Hoka's voice trailed after him, an enviable talent. He had expected Lychee to need many demonstrations to apprehend the essence of resilience, perhaps months or years to turn understanding into comprehension. Instead, Lychee had reached that insight in a single epiphany and was already transforming it into true comprehension. Now all that remained was consolidation. Such talent was terrifying. Chapter 108, Practice and Enlightenment. After leaving the virtual universe, Lychee returned to his manor in the lava secret realm and immediately resumed cultivating the Azure Wood secret art. He needed to consolidate the new insights he'd gained. After several days of continuous cultivation, he finally solidified them all, and his comprehension of the wood origin law rose another level. Using an Azure Wood thorn had become effortless. Even in the virtual universe, it no longer strained him. He could summon one at will. Having resolved and absorbed his prior doubts, Lychee took the mysterious leaf from before and examined it again. This time, his gains were slight, mostly filling in missing pieces about the essence of resilience. Holding the emerald-like leaf, he wondered aloud, could this leaf contain only a single essence of the wood origin law? It seemed likely. His earlier uncertainties about the wood law had all stemmed from that same essence, and the only thing the leaf clarified were those missing parts. Aside from that one essence, he remembered vaguely seeing the image of a tree the last time he observed it, but he could no longer recall any details. After a long, fruitless effort to recall the tree, he gave up. Now that the wood origin law has hit a bottleneck, and I still have some time before the Lord of the Azure Wood World's next guidance, I should check the Lava Secret Realm's secret art archives for anything related to the space origin law, he thought. If the archives had a space secret art, he planned to take it and try to cultivate it. Perhaps he could gain some space-related insights before the Cosmic Peak Genius battle and improve his evaluation there. At the Secret Art Archives, he entered the third floor under the envious gazes of other provisional and official members. There were over 20 Secret Art Archives. Apart from the two supreme laws, time and space, which had only one archive each, The 8 lesser laws had at least 2 each. Fire and earth had the most. Li Qi located the single space secret art archive, registered it, and returned to his manor. The space secret art is a foundational archive for the space origin law, he mused. If I can quickly gain insights from this, it will prove I have talent in space law. Maybe when I become a world lord, I'll gain insights into instant, seal, and slay. Over the next year, he cultivated both the Azure Wood secret art and the space secret art. The wood training progressed well. His comprehension of the wood origin law improved. According to the Lord of the Azure Wood World's classification, law comprehension has 5 stages: initial comprehension, rumen, entry, understanding, acknowledgement, and complete comprehension. He had moved beyond initial comprehension and was pushing toward rumen, 1 or 2 more essences, and he'd formally enter that level. But his progress with the space origin law stalled. He could sense the fluctuations of space law, but could not latch onto any true insight. That place was maddeningly ambiguous. He might gain an understanding at any moment, or be stuck there for years, even decades. It was like those mighty cultivators who were only 1 step from fully comprehending a law, yet were kept back by that single step for untold eons. Maybe I should focus on the wood origin law and set space aside for now, only returning to it occasionally, he decided. To relax, Li Qi returned to the secret art archives to borrow a few more archives he could take back to his family. He chose 3: Earth Law's Gravity Space, Fire Law's Flame Secret Canon, and Wind Law's Hurricane Secret Art. Back at his manor, he skimmed the 3. Gravity Space caught his eye. Interesting, he said. This archive doesn't just cultivate the Earth origin law, it also uses the power of law to enhance one's domain. Curious whether wood law techniques could strengthen a domain the same way, he experimented with Gravity Space. He had not expected anything dramatic, but when he tried it, he was stunned. I just gained insight into the Earth origin law? A single experimental attempt had given him an Earth law insight. Li Qi was shocked. For a moment, he wondered if his talent in Earth surpassed his talent in wood. To test that, he spent the next 10 days intensively cultivating Earth law. The initial gain had been abrupt, but further progress was slow and nowhere near as rapid as his wood cultivation. Concluding that his Earth progress was not as naturally strong as it had seemed, he resolved to consult mentor Hoka. A few days later, during his monthly guidance session with the Lord of the Azure Wood World, Li Qi raised the question about whether he should pursue Earth law alongside wood. The Lord asked, "How long have you been cultivating the Earth origin law?" 1 month, Li Qi answered. Because Li Qi was favored by the Lava World Master, the Lord mentally composed a message and sent it. A short time later, a reply arrived. The Lord glanced and said, "Gulete wishes to see you." "Gulete?" Li Qi asked, puzzled. "The Lava World Master," the Lord clarified. Li Qi bowed and left the garden, teleporting to the Lava World Master's palace. At the throne, Li Qi stood respectfully. "Your Majesty, are you cultivating the Earth origin law as well?" the Lava World Master asked. "Yes, I experimented with a secret art archive and unexpectedly gained an insight into Earth law, so I asked Teacher Hoka whether I might pursue it," Li Qi explained. "If you wish to cultivate Earth, I can guide you," the Lava World Master said. "But you must be warned, there are only about 70 years left until the Cosmic Peak Genius Battle. If you intend to achieve good results there, you must specialize in the wood origin law. Your talent in wood far surpasses your talent in Earth." Li Qi started at the figure. He had assumed there was plenty of time. 70 years felt far shorter than he'd imagined. He didn't hesitate. "Your Majesty, I have decided to specialize in the wood origin law. I want to perform well at the Cosmic Peak Genius Battle." "Very good," the Lava World Master said, nodding in approval. "I support your decision. I'll notify the Lord of the Azure Wood World and have him increase the frequency of his guidance for you." "Thank you, Your Majesty." "Don't thank me yet," the Lava World Master replied, and his tone shifted. "Although I support your participation, I have one requirement. The Genius Battle begins tomorrow." Chapter 109. Registration for the Genius Battle time passed. In the blink of an eye, more than 70 years slipped by. During that time, Li Qi cultivated ceaselessly, focusing on the wood origin law and the green vine pillar. For someone who had only reached the lava secret realm at 20, 70 years of uninterrupted cultivation felt like an eternity, and his contact with family had dwindled accordingly. The Lava World Master had set him a condition. If Li Qi failed to place in the top 1,000 of the upcoming Cosmic Peak Genius Battle, he would be required to continue cultivating for another 5,000 years and compete in the next cycle. 5,000 years was a lifetime, far too long for Li Qi. He needed time to grow stronger, whether to seek a way to resurrect his elder brother or to gather the cultivation resources his family needed. He could not afford to wait that long, so he threw himself into his training. Over those decades, his progress had been steady and profound. His grasp of the wood origin law had reached the early stages of true comprehension and was approaching full understanding. He could freely summon the endless vine in the primordial realm with the green vine pillar, and he had learned to use it to a dangerous degree, even in the virtual universe. According to assessments from the Lava World Master and the Lord of the Azure Wood World, Li Qi had a stable chance of placing in the top 1,000 of the Cosmic Peak Genius Battle, and a considerable shot at breaking into the top 10. On Molten Rock Island, in a plaza within the Lava Secret Realm's virtual universe hub, Li Qi looked up. A colossal black proclamation hung in the sky, its edges glowing, white characters blazing across the surface. Cosmic Human Race, Peak Genius Battle once every 10,000 years, about to commence, jointly organized by the Virtual Universe Corporation and all universe countries. Are you a genius? Can't find opponents of equal rank? Then participate in the Peak Genius Battle. Countless geniuses from universe countries across the entire universe will join fierce competition. For details, please visit the Virtual Universe Network official site via your virtual assistant. So the Virtual Universe Corporation is running it again, Li Qi muttered. He wanted to confirm the process still matched his expectations, so he accessed the Virtual Universe Network through his intelligent spirit. The rules were unchanged. The competition still had two stages: the Universe Country Selections and the Peak Finals. The country selections themselves were split between World Preliminary Eliminations and Arena Battles. The World Preliminary Eliminations were brutal. All genius contestants who registered from a single universe country would be distributed across 100 separate worlds. Only the top 1,001 in each world could advance. The rest would be cut. From those 100 worlds, 1,001 contestants were chosen from each, producing a total of 100,100 qualifiers. The first-place finisher in each world earned an automatic spot among that universe country's top 1,000, while the remaining 100,000 qualifiers had to battle in arena matches for the final 900 positions. The competition, Li Qi thought, left no room for slacking. If I can finish first in my world, I avoid the arena battles entirely, he mused. If not, I'll have to waste time fighting through the arenas. He felt confident of ultimately making Qianwu Universe Country's top 1,000, but securing first place in a world of billions took not only strength but luck. Killing a consecutive string of high-ranking opponents could spike his points. Killing only average-ranked foes likely wouldn't be enough. Hey, Li Qi, a red-haired man waved. You're here, too. Li Qi glanced over and smiled. Lanka. Lanka was a core member of the Lava Secret Realm, whom Li Qi had come to know during his decades of cultivation. They were friends. I've waited more than 1,000 years for this, Lanka said, eyes bright with excitement. If I place well and attract the attention of one of the 5 great giants, I might finally have a chance at becoming undying. Li Qi nodded. It won't be easy. Qianwu has tens of thousands of star domains, thousands of subordinate states, and directly administered territories. There are millions of geniuses. Competition will be fierce. Enough to make your hair stand on end, Lanka agreed. But I don't need to be number 1. If I can just get into the Qianwu dojo or catch the eye of an undying spiritual god faction, my path is much clearer. Li Qi understood. Many in the Lava Secret Realm treated the Empire as a springboard. The Cosmic Peak Genius Battle was the stage to attract patrons from greater powers. The Lava World Master had allowed them that freedom. Otherwise, he would have bound them with contracts long ago. They began the registration process. A translucent registration panel floated up in front of Lanka. The number of registered contestants refreshed every few seconds. Lanka's eyes widened. So many already signed up. Li Qi pulled up the Virtual Universe Corporation page and saw the same counter. It was well over 2 billion and climbing by the second. He quickly filled out his details and hit register. The panel scanned him and then produced a short notification. Beep, scan complete. Star level 9th Order Psyker Master. Registration approved. Years of relentless cultivation and frequent nutrient capsules had pushed Li Qi's genetic primal energy to star level 9th Order, and his mind power sat at the peak of that rank. Many people haven't even realized registration opened yet, Lanka said after finishing his own sign-up. In a few days, the numbers will explode. I heard last cycle, Qianwu's registration approached 800 billion. 800 billion, Li Qi repeated, feeling the weight of it. Split across 100 worlds, that's about 8 billion people in each world, fighting for 1,001 spots. Absolutely insane. Insane but expected, Lanka said with a dry laugh. Registration would remain open for 1 month. After it closed, the Virtual Universe Corporation would take another month to prepare, and on the final day, there would be a mass pre-competition mobilization by forces across the universe. Li Qi watched the Sky Proclamation a moment longer, then let his thoughts return to training. Every day of cultivation now felt like a step closer to a future he could not afford to lose. Chapter 110, Endless Geniuses, Qianwu Universe Country, Qianwu Secret Realm. The Qianwu Country Lord, who had been revived for barely over 10,000 epochs, stood in the starry heavens. Below him knelt hundreds of millions of astral rank youngsters, geniuses cultivated within the Qianwu Secret Realm to take part in the Cosmic Peak Genius Battle. The Country Lord's situation was precarious. All the heavy treasures he had accumulated and traded contributions for had been lost on the original star. Since this was his second revival after a fall, he now owed the human race a massive debt of contributions. To recover, he had accepted the heavy treasure offered by Rong Dianhao and promised the Lava World Master, who had found a fortuitous opportunity, that any candidate who completed the assessment trial would be accepted as a registered disciple. You are the future elites and the pillars of my Qianwu Universe Country, the Country Lord thundered. In this peak genius battle, you must claim at least half of the 100 of 100 spots allocated to our Qianwu Universe Country. His deep voice shook heaven and earth and echoed across the secret realm's starry sky. Ancient Thunder Empire, Qianwu Universe Country. Today marks the beginning of the preliminaries, announced a group of world lords as they addressed the astral rank disciples. The Divine Lord had high expectations. Do not disappoint him. Atop the divine throne, the Emperor of the Ancient Thunder Empire looked down upon the gathered multitude. Liu Universe Country. A boundless plaza before the vast palace held hundreds of millions of astral rank figures, each kneeling on one knee, heads bowed and expressions reverent. At the very front stood a blue-haired youth. His head bowed slightly, yet utterly composed amid the overwhelming divine might, an island of calm amid the sea of worshipful faces. Above the palace, in the Void Realm, a great presence stood with thousands of powerful, undying spiritual gods arrayed respectfully behind him. The previous peak genius battle was a disaster for us, the great presence said solemnly. My Liu Universe Country did not even place a single genius in the top 1,000. There was no anger in his tone, but his words inspired dread. He surveyed the dense, almost endless line of youths and continued. In this peak genius battle, my Liu must take at least 300 of the top 1,000 spots. Kede, he called. The blue-haired youth stepped forward. Country Lord, he said respectfully. Your goal is to be number 1 in the universe in this peak genius battle, the Great One commanded. Kede answered, Glory will belong to Liu Universe Country. His voice was not loud, but it carried clearly across the plaza and to the undying spiritual gods. Their hearts burned with fervor. As high-ranking members of Liu, they would swell with pride at any glory their country won. With KD, a genius who appeared perhaps once every million epochs, leading the charge, they believed the first place in the universe would be theirs alone. The kneeling millions echoed silently in spirit. Glory belongs to Liu Universe Country. Go, bring back glory, someone cried. Yes, Country Lord. The response rose from the crowd, respectful and excited. Few had expected to see the great country lord, who had founded Liu and sat upon the divine throne for countless years, standing in person. He was a presence greater than even an undying spiritual god. Nine Flame Universe Country, a star domain secret realm. A golden-haired Fox Clan girl stood respectfully behind her teacher. The teacher, an undying spiritual god radiating immense pressure, turned to her. "Faye," he said, "in this cosmic peak genius battle, you will break into the universe's top 1,000 for sure. There's a high chance you'll enter the top 10, but first place is out of reach." Faye bristled with indignation. Her teacher had once said she could have been the strongest illusionist in past editions, so why was first place impossible now? "I know you're not convinced," the undying spiritual god said with faint regret. "If only you had been born 10,000 years earlier." This edition of the Peak Genius Battle has produced a monster. No one can take first from him. He had learned from a friend in the Liu Universe Country that Liu was determined to seize first place this year. Faye set her jaw. "Just watch, teacher," she vowed. "No matter who that monster is, I'll use the illusions you taught me to defeat him." Qianwu Universe Country, Lava Empire. In a vast square, Li Qi stood with the 14 core members of the Lava Secret Realm before him, followed by hundreds of official members and thousands of reserves. The Lava World Master, who normally resided in the Lava Emperor Star Imperial Palace, addressed the geniuses assembled for the Cosmic Peak Genius Battle. "No matter which intermediate universe you came from, your identity now is that of the Lava Empire," he declared. "You will represent my empire in the Cosmic Peak Genius Battle. If any of you reach the top 1,000 of the Qianwu Universe Country, you will receive a 5th-tier weapon. If you break into the top 1,000 in the universe, you will be granted 10 star domains as territory." "Go," the Lava World Master finished. "Bring glory back to the Lava Empire." Across the Qianwu Universe Country, World Lord rank forces readied themselves to recruit geniuses spotted during the competition. "Keep a close eye on the constantly shifting leaderboard," they ordered. "We may miss the super geniuses, but second-tier talents are acceptable too. We have 100 preliminary zones. Anyone in the top 10,000 of each zone is considered very strong. Track every change in the rankings. This is the best chance to attract elites. Log every change and collect information on potential talents. Many future world lords and star domain lords will come from these ranks." There were over 780 billion participants in this Cosmic Peak Genius Battle. The Qianwu Universe Country had hundreds of millions of star domains, so on average, each star domain sent fewer than 10,000 competitors. In a typical star domain, tens of thousands of star-level 9th Order cultivators could be found even without counting astral rank 1st to 9th Order. To sign up for the battle, one had to be confident. People came for many reasons: fortuitous encounters, exceptional aptitude, good teachers, backing by powerful forces, or simply the heart of a powerhouse. In short, they were a little of everything, but all of them believed themselves strong and sought to use the stage of the Universe Genius Battle to further their paths toward power. District 32 World, Li Qi murmured as he scanned the data on the light screen. He smiled faintly to himself. "I hope this number, the same as my life gene level, brings me good luck." Chapter 111, Entering the World. The assembly point for the Qianwu Universe Country preliminaries of the Cosmic Peak Genius Battle within the virtual universe was a vast continent packed with people. Over 780 billion figures filled the land, every branch of the human race represented, wearing every imaginable style of clothing. Some were over 10 meters tall, others under a meter. The crowd buzzed with conversation as contestants made last-minute exchanges with acquaintances before the competition began. A clear voice rang out across the continent. "Attention, everyone. This preliminary elimination will be divided into 100 world zones. Mass teleportation will commence shortly, transporting all participants to their assigned world zone. Please check your equipment. Once the preliminary round begins, you may no longer request weapons." Li Qi checked his armor and weapons in his spatial ring. A black second-order force armor, a first-order and a third-order flying original force weapon, a fourth-order mind energy weapon, and a fifth-order mind energy weapon, the Green Vine Pillar. For fairness, all participants had been standardized to ninth order star level physical constitution, genetic primal energy, and mind power. They were restricted to force armor no higher than second order and to no more than 10 original force weapons and mind energy weapons combined. Mass teleportation is about to begin. Countdown, 60, 59, 58, the voice announced, its tone carrying across the land. Lychee spotted Lanka nearby, making an encouraging gesture. He returned the gesture with a smile. 10, 9, 8, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1. Teleport. The universal common language echoed in the ears of all 780 billion people, and in an instant, everyone on the continent vanished. 100 separate worlds opened in the virtual universe, and over 7.8 billion people appeared in each. The preliminaries of the human race peak genius battle had begun. As an event watched by everyone from the mighty Undying to ordinary citizens logged into the virtual universe network, attention was intense, especially among those of the Qianwu universe country. Because this had been a mass teleportation, all participants were given 3 seconds to recover. After the brief interval, Lychee gathered himself and used his mind power to scan his surroundings. He was in a 3-room house by himself. Feeling the gravity pressing on him, he muttered, "The gravity in this 30-second world zone is very high, one of the strongest I've encountered." He glanced down at the arm guard screen on his wrist, which automatically received messages from the organizer, the Virtual Universe Corporation. Participant, Lychee Lava Empire. Points, 0. Ranking, none. Current world zone, 30-second world zone time. The preliminary elimination will last 30 days. When time expires, the preliminary ends and winners are determined by point ranking at that moment. Point rules. Killing one contestant earns 1 point, plus half of the opponent's current points. Killing stronger opponents yields more points. Annotation: 30-second world zone. Ranking board rules. Deceased contestants remain on the ranking board. If their points are high enough, they may still place among the top 1001 even after death, though death ends their preliminary and halves their points. Please make the most of your time. Reminder: each person has only 1 life. Upon death, the preliminary stops and half of your points are lost. A detailed ranking list is attached below. Lychee sat back on the sofa and read the additional data the Virtual Universe Corporation sent. Many of the world materials in the preliminary had been upgraded to B9 grade, the notice said. That made sense. Between the massive population in each world zone and the number of contestants who had domain comprehension or law insight, only high-grade materials could withstand the collateral damage. Although everyone's physical constitution, genetic primal energy, and mind power are the same, domain attainments and law insights vary, he reflected. So the strength behind people's moves will differ greatly. If the buildings, ground, and trees weren't B9 grade, they'd have collapsed long ago from clashes between ninth-order star-level combatants. He locked the door with his mind power and drew the curtains. This world zone's land area is over 92 million square kilometers, with over 7.8 billion people spread across 84 cities, averaging over 800 million people per city, he thought, frowning at the immense density. The population density is too high. If I make a move now, I'll attract far too many people. Killing to gain points would be inefficient. He closed his eyes and made a plan. 5 days. 5 days should be enough to construct the soul casket. By then, enough competitors will have been eliminated that killing for points will be much more efficient, and I won't have to worry about sinking into the gutter. The soul casket was a soul secret technique Lychee had learned in the lava secret realm, a defensive soul art meant to compensate for his comparatively weaker will. While he cultivated the technique, people across the city began to make their moves after the brief adaptation period. Boom, 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 clatter, clatter, clang, clang, clang. The city that had been quiet immediately erupted in the sounds of combat. Thankfully, because most materials were B9 grade, the destructive radius of a ninth-order star-level outburst was limited here. Nothing like a normal planet where a ninth order could level an entire city with a single release. Bang! Someone smashed through Lychee's locked door. 2 martial artists burst from the corridor into the living room, wielding original force weapons and battle shields. Their weapons and shields clanged together as metal struck metal. The two were evenly matched, and neither yielded. Both focused their chi, refusing to retreat. In a world preliminary elimination where every contestant hoped for a top 1001 finish, backing down at the first encounter would be unthinkable. The cramped living room turned into a battleground. Even with B9 grade walls and furniture, the room didn't stand a chance. Debris and broken pieces flew everywhere. "I was going to let you two off." Li Qi had been monitoring the fight with his mind power. Seeing the stalemate, he grew a little impatient. "What?" one of the fighters shouted, surprised. "There's someone else?" the other added. Their sudden shouts startled each of them into stopping. They both retreated instinctively, weapons raised, eyes sweeping for the newcomer. Bang! The bedroom door exploded inward, and an 80-centimeter metal spider, yellowish-brown, 8-legged, sprang out. "Mind energy weapon! Psyker Master!" someone shouted. Seeing the spider, both of the men in the corridor immediately realized who was in the room and instinctively wanted to back off. If it had been a single opponent, they would have stormed the doorway and used the cramped space to fight person to person. But there were two of them inside, enemies to each other. Neither could trust his back to the other and charge in alone. Clack, clack, clack. On its many legs, the spider moved with incredible speed, its blurred silhouette skittering across the floor, up the walls, even along the ceiling, its sharp feet clicking on the B9 grade material. "So fast," one of them breathed. World Zone 32's high gravity slowed human movement, but the spider was small and could change direction instantly. Its motion was erratic, unnerving. Abruptly it stopped. Its legs scraped the surface, leaving several shallow gouges. Then they bent and it leapt, pouncing on one of the martial artists. The man had reacted, raising his shield with one hand and swinging his original force weapon with the other. But the moment he struck, he felt the world pull on him. Gravity intensified around him. His limbs stiffened. His strike dragged and fell short. His shield missed its mark. The metal spider wrapped around his head, 8 razor legs piercing through skull and torso. He died instantly. The second martial artist stared in horror. His equal had been slaughtered in one strike. Only then did he really see the spider close. Beneath its yellowish-brown shell, there was a faint, shimmering glow that warped the air around it. Could that be an origin law? Dread filled him. He tried to run. The spider's legs extended into pointed spikes and sank into his back. He was torn apart and gone in an instant. Li Qi stepped out of the bedroom. The fragments of the two fallen men's mind energy weapons flew to his side and merged into a yellowish-brown shield. He looked down at the two corpses as their forms collapsed into white light, about to vanish, and muttered, "This little skirmish has already made a racket. Time to change rooms." He glanced back at the door plate, 1001, and found the number oddly amusing. It took Li Qi over half an hour to methodically sweep the building. The high-rise had more than 40 floors. By the time he was done, he had killed 51 contestants. The strongest among them had been a Domain 5 martial artist, but that level wasn't enough to force Li Qi to use his Green Vine Pillar. His 4th-tier mind energy weapon combined with his Earth Origin Law was more than sufficient to overwhelm most adversaries. A wrist display ticked over as he checked the results. Contestant, Royce, Lava Empire, points 53, ranking 98,237. He smirked and shook his head. He'd broken into the top 100,000, but it was only temporary. Rankings would keep shifting until the preliminaries ended. Especially on the final day, competitors near the cutoff, those around the top 1001 mark, would go frantic. Being that close, a few opportunistic kills could push someone into the safe zone. That made the last day bloodier than the rest. He boarded his 3rd-tier mind energy weapon, the wind-piercing shuttle, and picked a room near the top floor of another building. He locked the door, drew the curtains, and began constructing his soul box with focused mind power. 5 days later, the soul box was finished. Li Qi walked out again and resumed sweeping high rises. He killed several contestants who had crept into the building during the soul box's construction, then left and flew down the avenue on his wind-piercing shuttle. He radiated his mind power as he went. The high gravity of World Zone 32 limited his mind power's reach to roughly 800 meters, but an 800-meter sphere centered on him still exposed a surprising number of hidden contestants in nearby high-rises. His conspicuous flight through the streets drew attention from others who weren't even within his mind power range. They spotted him visually and watched. "He's so arrogant," a man hidden in an upper floor sneered. "Either he's strong or he's stupid." Across town, another contestant murmured, "It's the 6th day. If someone dares to do this now, he's probably not an idiot." In a distant building, a spectator hovered by his window and grinned. "I wonder if anyone will go up and kill him. I'd like to see that." After the first frantic days, most participants had calmed. Survival suddenly meant a real shot at the top 1001, so caution replaced recklessness. No one wanted to be the first to act under so many watchful eyes. Losing was immediate death. Winning revealed tactics and invited future reprisals. Li Qi flew for a while and found himself unchallenged. He couldn't lure anyone out. Everyone was too careful. He piloted the wind-piercing shuttle toward the nearest high-rise. "Fine," he figured. "If you won't come out, I'll come in." Inside the building, he swept floor by floor. With his mind power coverage reduced just enough not to raise alarms, he methodically cleared the floors for half an hour. Then, under the gaze of dozens of contestants in neighboring towers, he climbed to the roof, launched into the air, and headed for the nearest high-rise. The sight of him leaving one tower to fly toward another sent a ripple of tension through the surrounding windows. Chapter 113, Blood Saber. "He just rushed into the next building," one competitor said, stunned. "Doesn't he need to rest?" Not only that, speaker, many others of similar rank watched Li Qi's actions in disbelief. From another tower, someone murmured, "He must be arrogant because he's strong. He used almost no spiritual force killing those in that tall building and took his time sweeping the floors. That's why he could go straight into the next skyscraper without resting." They all knew this wasn't the primordial universe, where treasures and potions could instantly restore genetic primal energy and spiritual force. In this world's preliminary elimination, everyone shared the same physique and similar recovery rates. Under those rules, no one could plausibly clear an entire skyscraper and then immediately enter the next without pausing, unless they were truly top tier. On the top floor of a distant skyscraper, a burly man with a blood-red battle saber looked toward the building Li Qi had entered. "Ha-ha! Another strong one, worth rushing over to kill," he said, laughing. "No hurry. I'll strike after he accumulates more points." His bright smile stood out against the ruined room behind him. The apartment had been torn apart by a fierce fight not long ago, and he was the survivor. More than 20 minutes later, inside the skyscraper Li Qi had entered, in a third-floor corridor, a thin man watched Li Qi approach with a bewildered expression and asked, "You're not going to kill me?" "I won't kill you." Li Qi, standing on his wind-piercing shuttle, nodded. "Your strength is solid, domain 8th order. You have the right to fight for a top 1001 place in the 32nd District world. It'd be a shame to be eliminated like that." The thin man's gaze traveled to the earthy yellow shield floating at Li Qi's side. The shield's 8-legged spider pattern had demonstrated terrifying suppressive power and had defeated him instantly. If Li Qi had truly wanted to kill him, he would have had no chance. The thin man's face grew complicated. "If you want to challenge me, come back after you've got enough points to ensure that even if you die, you'll still make the top 1001, Li Qi continued. The thin man's expression hardened. He understood what Li Qi meant. Come back after accumulating points. In other words, come and deliver points to him. Come back after getting points to challenge you? That's just coming to hand you points. "Thank you," the thin man said, then bolted into the nearest room, smashed through the glass, and jumped from the building. His spiritual force scanned his surroundings as he fled. Li Qi shook his head. "He probably won't come after me." The thin man ran like someone desperate to get away. Judging by his speed, he wanted distance, not revenge. Li Qi smiled inwardly. Reputation mattered. If he could build a name for himself, stronger opponents would seek him out. Then, after those opponents had accumulated enough points, they could have a proper showdown in the final 2 days. With that in mind, Li Qi quickly cleaned out the remaining floors, entered the next skyscraper, and kept killing. Over the next 2 days, he cleared more than 20 skyscrapers, spared nearly 10 strong opponents with the instruction to come back after earning points, and used the mercy as a way to build notoriety. He knew many of them would never return, but the tactic drew attention. After another day and a dozen more skyscrapers, Li Qi found the number of participants in his area had fallen sharply. He glanced at the small screen on his wrist. Participant, Li Qi Royce, Lava Empire, points 45,693, ranking 19,428. I've broken into the top 20,000, Li Qi said, lowering his hand and shaking his head slightly. Still far from enough. I have to keep killing if I want to aim for first place in the 32nd district. He left the skyscraper and switched areas. There were too few opponents nearby now. The points he could gain were shrinking. Gliding down the street on his wind-piercing shuttle, Li Qi cast his spiritual force outward and scanned the surrounding towers. Most were sparsely occupied. Some held only 2 or 3 people, not worth the effort. Then he saw smoke rising several kilometers away. A fight, he thought, and it's not small. He steered toward the smoke. On the street below, 2 martial artists had become locked in a brutal duel. Metal rang on metal, sparks flew, and every strike left marks on B9 grade material. Their battle laid waste to nearby hovercars. The smoke came from those wrecks. Both fighters were Domain 9th Order. Li Qi landed on a skyscraper rooftop and sat on the railing, watching with interest. One combatant wielded a greatsword, the other held a blood-red long saber. "Blood saber, don't go too far," the greatsword fighter shouted, swinging his blade. "We're both Domain 9th Order. You can't kill me." "Ha ha, that's what you think," the burly man known as Bloodsaber sneered. 3 days ago, I wouldn't have stood a chance. Now, it's different." As he spoke, the blood-red long saber in Bloodsaber's hands began to change. Fire-born genetic primal energy flowed through it, activating secret patterns etched along the blade. At the same time, a faint trace of the origin of fire law attached itself to the saber. The long saber chopped out, the greatsword swung to meet it. With a thunderous clang, saber met sword. "What?" The greatsword fighter was shocked. The force from Bloodsaber's blade had multiplied several times over compared to before. One strike shoved him back several steps. His tiger's mouth bled. Bloodsaber pressed the attack, his saber slashing again and again. The greatsword wielder managed to resist only with great difficulty and found himself forced into retreat. "When did you comprehend the law?" he gasped. "Guess." Bloodsaber sneered, and his long saber never ceased cutting, punishing his opponent mercilessly. The greatsword fighter roared inwardly. Facing an opponent who had grasped even a sliver of a law, he stood no chance, not even to escape. After a few seconds, he finally broke. With an unwilling cry, he took a mortal strike. Bloodsaber's blade cut him down. Bloodsaber pulled the saber free, slung it over his shoulder, and looked down at the corpse. "Come to think of it, I should thank you," he muttered. "Our fight 3 days ago let me comprehend the law." He scanned the surroundings with his astral grade 9th Order vision and saw a familiar figure perched on a rooftop. "It's him," he said. Chapter 114, Mad Demon. Outside the invisible barrier, 9,000 meters above District 32 world, hundreds of thousands of spaceships drifted in the void. Inside one of them, a middle-aged man cradling a beauty laughed loudly. "Our Juyi Empire's blood blade is something else. He's already comprehended a law. Breaking into the world's top 1001 will be a piece of cake." Exactly. Another man, also with a beauty at his side, smiled. "In the last Cosmic Peak Genius battle, we didn't have anyone in the top 1001. The Lihu people mocked us for 5,000 years. I wonder if they'll still be so bold this time." They beamed with pride at the prospect of a Juyi genius finally ranking among the world's best. Below them, on a rooftop, Bloodblade's voice rang out, clear and far-reaching. "Mad Demon! Mad Demon?" came back a startled chorus from the surrounding structures. Mad Demon's sweeping another direction. How is he here? Bloodblade's calling Mad Demon. Is he trying to pick a fight? If they fight, I'll take the chance to slip away. For the past 2 or 3 days, a terrifying figure had been rising, someone who spared the strong and slaughtered the weak, earning himself the nickname Mad Demon. The contestants hiding in nearby buildings whispered and speculated. Li Qi's spiritual force swept the area. Apart from the hidden contestants he already knew about, he saw no one obvious. Then Bloodblade raised his blood-colored long saber, pointed directly at the rooftop where Lychee sat, and shouted, "Mad demon, do you dare to come down and fight me?" Lychee froze. From the angle and the shout, it was clear the challenge was for him. Mad demon? He thought. The title didn't sit well, but it was better than being called savage. With a small inward sigh, he accepted it and leaped from the rooftop. The wind-piercing shuttle caught his feet and bore him smoothly down to the street. A murmur ran through the hidden crowd. Mad Demon actually dared to come down. How can a guy who only kills the weak have the nerve to face Bloodblade? Mad Demon was in the same building as us. If Bloodblade hadn't challenged him, I might have been killed. Others silently hoped Bloodblade would make short work of him. Bloodblade himself looked surprised. Mad Demon, I didn't expect you to come. Why wouldn't I? Lychee replied evenly. You've comprehended a law, but you're still not my match. You're arrogant, Bloodblade sneered, eyes narrowing. Is it the weak you prey on that makes you so bold? Lychee's brows twitched. The title wasn't just unpleasant, it had shaped how others judged his actions. When he didn't answer, Bloodblade pressed on. Mad Demon, do you dare to fight me? Come find me when you have enough points. Lychee guided the wind-piercing shuttle upward again. Your strength is respectable. It would be a shame to see you eliminated in the preliminaries. As Lychee rose, Bloodblade advanced and shouted, Coward who only kills the weak, come down and fight me. The insult cut into Lychee. He had originally intended to keep Bloodblade alive as a convenient catch to harvest points from later, but the man's slur was too much. He changed his mind. Since you want death, I'll grant you it. Bloodblade charged, screaming, You're not qualified to kill me? An earthen yellow shield blossomed in front of Lychee, then split and reassembled into an 8-legged metal spider that lunged at Bloodblade. Metal legs clanged against Bloodblade's shield as he resisted the sudden increase in gravity. He parried a few strikes and then slashed with a long saber laced with the faint heat of the origin of fire law. The spider twisted and dodged most of the blow, but 2 legs were cleaved off and became sharp spikes that lashed outward. Bloodblade held his shield and danced his saber in flawless arcs, preventing the spider from breaking through. Bloodblade pressed forward to close the distance, but Lychee stayed out of reach, riding the wind-piercing shuttle's speed and altitude. Mad Demon! Bloodblade shouted as he defended. I admit I underestimated you. I didn't expect you to have comprehended a law. You're arrogant for a reason. Hidden spectators murmured in surprise. He's comprehended a law? Then why does he spare the strong and only kill the weak? But you still can't beat me, Bloodblade continued between parries. You can't break my defense. When your spiritual force runs out, I'll kill you. The spider battered the shield, but made no headway. Lychee retracted the construct. The spider folded back into an earthen yellow shield. His grasp of the Earth origin law was only marginally deeper than Bloodblade's grasp of the origin of fire, and he hadn't mastered the moves that use Earth law secret patterns. The fourth-order psionic weapon wasn't enough to pierce Bloodblade's practiced defense. Bloodblade watched Lychee sheath his weapon with some puzzlement. What's he doing? Bloodblade, Lychee said calmly, your defensive techniques are well drilled. A fourth-order psionic weapon can't break you, so I held it back. A cyan staff, long and composed of countless rotating, intertwined vines, manifested in Lychee's hands. The top-tier fifth-order psionic weapon, the green vine pillar, Bloodblade breathed, pupils narrowing. Is your deepest comprehension the wood origin law? Lychee said nothing. 5 cyan streams of light shot from the green vine pillar. Chapter 115, Challenge of Mad Axe, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 5 streaks of azure light, each carrying the power of the wood origin law, burst from the green vine pillar. Even as they emerged, their might was unmistakable. The 5 azure wood thorns, transformed into blazing beams, cut through the air with such speed they left long after images as they raced toward the horrified Bloodblade. What, 5 azure wood thorns? His mastery of the wood origin law is this deep? Bloodblade's alarm was obvious. He raised his shield to block. Clang! The first azure wood thorn slammed into the force shield. The impact rocked him. The shield felt suddenly unbearably heavy in his hands. Clang! The second thorn struck next, hurling Bloodblade backward and knocking the shield from his grasp. Clang! Struggling midair, he used his blood-colored long saber to parry the third thorn, but it was knocked free as well. With both shield and saber gone, Bloodblade fumbled for a spare weapon from his spatial ring, and the remaining two azure wood thorns struck. The beams pierced him. His second-order force armor could not withstand the power of a top-tier fifth-order mind energy weapon. He died instantly. Bloodblade's body collapsed to the ground. Specks of white light rose from it, signaling his death and elimination from the competition. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. With a thought from Li Qi, the 5 streaks of azure light retracted to the green vine pillar. He watched Bloodblade's dissipating form and felt a small stir of interest. He clearly hid his strength, Li Qi mused. In that earlier fight with the domain level 9 martial artist, he didn't show these defensive methods. It wasn't until he faced me that he pulled out that battle shield and used strong defenses to block a 4th-order mind energy attack. Bloodblade's defensive style reminded Li Qi of someone, Long Yun from the original Tales, whose ironclad defense once stalled Luo Feng until he reached the highest beginning mythical region. But you're not him. Your defense was good, but you faced me, and my offense is stronger. The fight reinforced a lesson for Li Qi. Against a genius who had comprehended law, relying on a single 4th-order mind energy technique was risky. The best tactic was to bring out the green vine pillar and fight directly. Down in World Zone 32, 3 people from the Nine-Ye Empire, in a spaceship outside the invisible world barrier, watched the duel and were stupefied. After the initial shock, each reacted in his own way. Bloodblade's dead. He didn't make the top 1001. Bloodblade is one of our empire's top law geniuses. How could he lose? No way. That genius from the Lava Empire actually unleashed a top-tier 5th-order mind energy weapon, the Green Vine Pillar. Nearby contestants crowded into buildings watched the replay with open mouths. Bloodblade lost? To Mad Demon? Bloodblade was the strongest genius around here. He lost to Mad Demon? Mad Demon has only ever slaughtered the weak. This Mad Demon is terrifying. He wasn't using his full strength before. I didn't expect his wood origin law to be so deep that he could wield the Green Vine Pillar. With this power, Mad Demon could easily crack the top 1,000 in the Qianwu Universe Country's Genius Battle. Everywhere the onlookers agreed, Li Qi's display was monstrous. After killing Bloodblade, Li Qi had no desire to continue rampaging through the buildings. There weren't many people nearby anyway, and letting them spread word of him would do more to build his reputation. He flew toward an uninhabited building he detected with a mind power scan and, gliding through a broken window, checked his points panel. Contestant, Li Qi Royce, Lava Empire. Points, 162,989, ranking 2308. His points had been just over 40,000 before. Killing Bloodblade had added more than 110,000, pushing him to 162,989. That showed Bloodblade had accumulated a huge number of points himself, well over 200,000, by slaughtering many contestants. Li Qi found an undamaged room and decided to stay for 10 days. The 20th day of the World Preliminary Elimination Round would be then. Most survivors would be powerful by that point, and dispatching them would earn far more points than slaughtering weaklings now. On the 4th day of his stay, several loud shouts carried through the city, so loud they could be heard by contestants half a mile away. Mad Demon! Mad Demon! Someone's baiting Mad Demon. That's a provocation. You're asking to die. Who dares provoke Mad Demon after he killed Bloodblade? The contestants in the area were stunned. Someone really was trying to draw Mad Demon out. Li Qi raised an eyebrow, scanned with mind power, and piloted the wind-piercing shuttle through glass into the street. A voice boomed from the center of the avenue. A burly man over 4 meters tall stood there, clutching a massive battle axe. Li Qi descended and transmitted his voice with mind power. I'm here. Mad Demon, you finally showed up, the giant said casually via mind power. Others call me Mad Axe. They faced each other on the street, Li Qi hovering on his mind energy weapon, the wind-piercing shuttle, Mad Axe planted on the ground with his battle axe gleaming. Li Qi studied the axe and replied, You want to challenge me? I do, Mad Axe said, but not yet. I'll come for you when my points are enough to breach the top 1001 worldwide. Li Qi understood the tactic immediately. I know why. You've been slaughtering weak opponents and sparing strong ones, so they'll come after you once you've banked enough points. You want to face real geniuses. Exactly, Maddox said. I came now only to make sure you don't leave this city. You must want the world's top spot and a spot in the Chanwu country's final 1,000. If you go hunting strong enemies in other cities, you'll take away my chance to fight a super genius like you. There was a fierce determination in Maddox's eyes, a hunger to challenge higher peaks. All right, Li Qi replied. I'll wait. Chapter 116, End of the World Qualifiers. Following Maddox's challenge, 3 more titled geniuses sought Li Qi over the next few days. Their challenges could only be issued once they'd accumulated enough points, so none were immediate. The last day of the World Preliminary Elimination Tournament arrived. Li Qi sat on the roof of a tall building and checked the display on his wrist. Participant, Li Qi. Royce points, 360,392, ranking, 374. In the past 10 days, he'd been steadily eliminating opponents and climbed into the top 400. I've broken into the top 400, he thought. Confident his score was safe from elimination, he waited for the 4 law geniuses who had sought him. Around noon, the first to arrive was a law genius named Bao Yan, who finally had enough points to challenge. Mad Demon! The shout carried through half the city. Those who heard it exchanged whispers. He's here. Someone's challenging Mad Demon on the last day. Mad Demon is the strongest in this city. Whoever dares to challenge him must be a law genius. I'd love to watch a law genius versus Mad Demon, but I'm only around 900th place. If I die, I'll drop out of the top 1001. I can't risk it. Maddox, hearing the commotion, looked up and murmured, Someone already sought out Mad Demon. I need to speed up my point gathering. Li Qi found Bao Yan waiting in the street below. He was a blonde youth with an afro hairstyle, carrying a giant scythe and pulling a shield from his spatial ring. Oh, it's you, Li Qi said. Bao Yan grinned. Good luck. I killed a genius from another city. Li Qi nodded. A single city had a limited number of participants, and because killers only received half a victim's points, the total available points in a city slowly dwindled. To make a serious run at the top of the world rankings, a competitor had to go to other cities and take points from strong outsiders. Bao Yan must have done just that. You ready? Bao Yan asked. Yes, he charged, scythe in hand and shield raised. Let me test the strength of Mad Demon, the strongest in the city. Li Qi barely moved. With a thought, 5 azure wood thorns, formations of wood origin law energy braided with countless tiny vines, uncoiled from the green vine pillar, his top-tier 5th grade mind energy weapon. Each thorn carried enough force to annihilate a Domain 9 Heavens participant. Bao Yan laughed, eyes wild, swung his scythe in a single-handed whirl, and planted his shield in front of him, choosing to meet the attack head-on. The first azure wood thorn struck the scythe with bone-jarring force and knocked it aside. The remaining 4 ignored the shield and pierced straight through Bao Yan's head. The exchange took less than a second. Law genius Bao Yan was dead. Li Qi looked at the corpse and shook his head. That Bao Yan was insane. He knew I was using the green vine pillar and still charged straight in. He muttered, Bao Yan's more like Mad Yan. The display on his wrist updated immediately. Participant, Royce, Lava Empire. Points, 13,872,496, ranking 89. Li Qi frowned a moment. Bao Yan had said earlier he didn't have many points, yet he must have taken an enormous haul from an outsider. If Mad Axe and the others had been raiding other cities like Bao Yan, maybe one of them could grab first place in the world. Li Qi dismissed the thought. The chances were slim, and he didn't care about first place. With his strength, getting into Chanwu Universe Country's top 1,000 by arena matches was effortless. Half an hour later, a second challenger arrived, a genius at Domain 9 Heavens, who Li Qi dispatched as easily with 5 azure wood thorns. That kill nudged him up another 10 places. As the sun slid toward the horizon and the preliminary tournament neared its end, Li Qi waited for Mad Axe. One expected challenger never showed, likely short on points and unwilling to risk elimination. At dusk, Mad Axe finally arrived. Mad Axe, you're here at last, Li Qi said, gazing at the darkening sky. I thought you didn't have enough points. Took me a while to track someone down, Mad Axe replied. His giant battle axe hung at his side. Shall we begin? Of course, Li Qi said, and brought the green vine pillar to bear. Wood origin fluctuations rippled through it. 9 small vines etched with law sigils spun out, intertwining until they coalesced into an azure wood thorn that radiated a strong threat. 5 such thorns formed at once. As expected of Mad Demon, the strongest in the city, Mad Axe praised. 5 azure wood thorns at once. Your comprehension of the wood origin law is deep. You'll likely enter the top 1,000 in the Cosmic Peak Genius Battle. Li Qi ignored the compliment. He joined his right index and middle fingers and pointed. Go! 5 azure streams of light streaked down the street toward Mad Axe. He roared and swung his battle axe with both hands, perfectly parrying 1 stream and with 2 clangs, deflecting 2 more. But 5 thorns were more than he could handle. 2 of the streams tore through him, slicing away flesh and bone and leaving gaping holes through which the buildings beyond could be seen. Though he was over 4 meters tall and none of the strikes hit vitals, the wounds were grievous. Impossible! Mad Axe gasped. Before he could recover, one of the deflected thorns looped and pierced his head. The axe and his body crashed to the ground. Mad Axe, the city's second strongest, was dead. An hour after Mad Axe's death, the Cosmic Peak Genius Battle, the Qianwu Universe Country World Preliminary Elimination Tournament, officially concluded. Chapter 117, Capital for Show-Off. The World Preliminary Eliminations in Qianwu Universe Country had finished, and the lists were published. The direct qualifiers for the top 1,000 in the Qianwu Universe and the 100,000 contestants who advanced to the arena stage. About 20 members from the Lava Secret Realm made it into the arena stage. 12 of them were core members, though 2 had been eliminated in the preliminaries, knocked out by other geniuses who had also comprehended laws. The Lava World Master was used to that. It was nothing unusual for a few law-comprehending geniuses to fall in the brutal preliminaries. In previous rounds, other geniuses had been eliminated too. It just so happened this time 2 came from the Lava Empire. Most of the Lava Secret Realm's core contestants, apart from Li Qi, didn't show much potential, so the Lava World Master didn't pin high hopes on them. Many of them were already over 5,000 years old, with limited talent. Only 2 or 3 were younger than that. In the Virtual Universe Palace, after reviewing the lists, the Lava World Master said to the Lord of the Azure Wood World, "It's a little surprising that Li Qi didn't get first place in the world." "That doesn't matter," the Lord of the Azure Wood World replied. "With his law comprehension almost at the understanding level, he'll easily make the Qianwu top 1,000. The so-called Understanding Realm was one of the law comprehension tiers some world masters in Qianwu Universe Country used, based on their own experience. They roughly divided comprehension into 5 levels: initial comprehension, entry, understanding, acknowledgement, and thorough comprehension. Initial comprehension meant you had grasped the law at a single essence. Entry meant your comprehension reached multiple essences, but none were fully mastered. Understanding meant you had covered all essences and thoroughly comprehended at least 3. Acknowledgement meant the primordial universe had granted you a law acknowledgement imprint. Your comprehension was recognized. Thorough comprehension meant total mastery of the law. At that point, if you could fully control your body and break your core, you could break through into an undying spiritual god. When Li Qi first heard this categorization from the Lord of the Azure Wood World, he'd thought it rather coarse compared to the finer heavenly bridge system. The Lava World Master nodded. From what he knew, Li Qi had already completely mastered one essence of the wood origin law, and his comprehension covered multiple essences, right on the cusp of understanding. With that level, it would be surprising if he failed to make the top 1,000. Gu Leite, the Lord of the Azure Wood World, said earnestly, "I have to thank you. You gave me the chance to guide a genius like Li Qi Royce. If he becomes a super strong expert, having been his mentor will be a lifetime's boast." The Lava World Master listened to the Lord's sincere tone and was a little stunned. Thinking of Li Qi's astonishing talent, he understood. In his millions of years, he'd never seen a genius like Li Qi, a few years to grasp a law, a few decades to push comprehension almost to the understanding level, and he was only an astral rank, not even a world lord. If he were a world lord, that might be reasonable. For an astral rank, it was terrifying. The Lava World Master chuckled. That's something I could brag about too. If I ever become an undying spiritual god, I could boast forever. Late. The Lord of the Azure Wood World was puzzled. He had never heard the Lava World Master speak of becoming an undying spiritual god with a smile. No matter, the Lava World Master said with a smile. The odds of Li Qi making the top 1,000 this time are very high. If not this time, then next. He paused and sighed. If even he can't make the top 1,000, then I'll never have anything to do with becoming an undying spiritual god. The Lord of the Azure Wood World stayed silent. His own law comprehension was close to the undying level, so he couldn't quite read the Lava World Master's private thoughts. In the Lava Secret Realm's virtual universe, Li Qi relaxed after the furious slaughter of the preliminaries. He wasn't bloodthirsty. He'd grown tired from long stretches of intense combat. Xiaoxi, check my messages and calls, he said. A small, delicate elf in green appeared, 20 centimeters tall and winged, flapping as she hovered. Xiaoxi was the intelligent assistant he had purchased to handle trivial matters in the primordial and virtual universes. Her pleasant voice answered, Master, you have 153 messages and 132 call requests. So many, Li Qi blinked. As a core member of the Lava Secret Realm, he was by default part of the Lava Empire. Normally, once a genius joined an intermediate universe country faction, other factions wouldn't be sending messages and calls, but there were still hundreds. Reject everything except those from my family, the Lava World Master, and Lord Late, he told her. Understood, Master. Xiaoxi's eyes glowed briefly. All messages and calls have been rejected. Li Qi was surprised. Did the Lava World Master or Lord Late call or message? No, Master, Xiaoxi replied. That's fine if they didn't. Li Qi relaxed and added, Xiaoxi, video call, Father. Understood, Master. Xiaoxi's eyes glowed again. Applying for video call. On the video call with his father Derek, Li Qi learned about the Royce family's current position. They were the most powerful family in Chaoguang City and on Kuka Star. They held the city lord's seat in Chaoguang City and had several astral rank members serving as instructors and holding important roles in Chaoguang Academy. After ending the call, Li Qi returned to Cultivation, preparing for the arena competition a month away. A month passed. During that time, participants gathered intel on geniuses compiled by various factions, especially for those who had revealed their status as law geniuses in the preliminary rounds. Their combat videos had been recorded and distributed to their factions for study. Li Qi's footage was, naturally, a key focus. He also received intelligence collected by the Lava Empire and studied it carefully, familiarizing himself with every law-comprehending genius. At last, the Cosmic Peak Genius Battle, the Qianwu Universe Country Arena Competition, began. Chapter 118, Ring Competition begins. The day before the arena competition arrived. In the virtual universe, on one of the floating continents above the Qianwu continent, a massive conference hall had been prepared. It stretched on, with rows of seats that could easily hold well over 100,000 people. So many people, Lanka, sitting beside Li Qi, remarked. There are also a lot of law geniuses, nearly 1,100. Indeed. Li Qi nodded and stared ahead at the packed crowd. When a participant looked over and caught sight of him, a whisper ran through the hall. It's Mad Demon! What? Mad Demon. The murmur spread like wildfire. The figure in question was not only Mad Demon, the genius hailed as the #1 contender from Qianwu Universe Country in this peak genius battle, but he was also surrounded by 11 other law-comprehending geniuses. The sight prompted audible exclamations. He truly lived up to his reputation. Quiet! A deep voice boomed, and the entire hall fell silent. A man in a silver robe stepped onto the high platform at the front. His gaze swept across the crowd of 100,100 contestants, geniuses who had passed the preliminary selection. 100,100 people from Qianwu Universe Country have passed the preliminary selection, the silver-robed man announced. He pointed to his side, and a screen flickered to life, displaying portraits. These 100 first-place finishers from each world region receive direct final quotas and will represent Qianwu Universe Country in the peak showdowns against other universe countries. The remaining 100,000 will compete for 900 quotas. The arena battles are divided into the arena melee and the one-on-one arena battles, the silver-robed man continued. First, 90,000 people will be eliminated through the arena melee. You 100,000 people will be divided into 1,000 groups, with 100 people per group. Each group fights on a single arena, and the 10 who survive will be considered to have passed the melee. After the arena melee, only 10,000 people will remain. The 900 quotas will be decided among those 10,000 people. Now, the one-on-one arena battles follow thereafter. A buzz rose among the contestants. The arena melee would cut 90,000 people at once. Brutal, many thought. This year's Genius Battle in Qianwu Universe Country was unusually fierce. Aside from the 100 people who had earned direct quotas, 900 spots remained to be contested by nearly 1,000 law-comprehending geniuses. The competitors discussed aloud, nerves and speculation flaring. Whoosh! A translucent screen appeared before each contestant. The screen displayed a number from 1 to 1,000. Do you see the number in front of you? That is your group, the silver-robed man said. Tomorrow, groups 1 through 200 will begin. The entire arena melee lasts 5 days and will conclude after those 5 days. Li Qi glanced at the screen floating in front of him. 985, an auspicious number by some counts. Lanka's screen, by contrast, read 997, less fortunate. I wish everyone success in passing the arena melee, the silver-robed man said, his voice echoing. Now, everyone will be teleported out. Please prepare. Buzz. In an instant, the 100,100 contestants vanished. 1 day later, the arena competition officially began. In a specially created planar space of the virtual universe, a vast, boundless river surged. Islands dotted the river, each hosting a fighting arena. The arena melee would be held across these arenas. Earlier, the preliminary selections from the 100 world regions had not been broadcast live. People could only rent spaceships to observe from afar. Qianwu Universe Country had more than 13,000 star domains. Countless citizens who had only seen ranking lists and unable to watch the fights in person were aching for a live spectacle. This arena competition was truly live, and tickets sold out instantly. If participants hadn't had priority access, Li Qi would never have gotten one. The arena melee was split into 1,000 groups, with 200 groups competing each day. The first day covered groups 1 to 200. A contestant from the Lava Empire was in group 82. Li Qi had come to watch, to feel what hosted the nation and sent the citizenry into a frenzy. I wish my family could come watch my match, he thought regretfully. He'd wanted to bring them, but the virtual universe on his home cultivation planet was a customized version, not fully connected to the global virtual universe network. That prevented them from entering the arenas. The virtual projection host began calling names, starting with those who had lower preliminary rankings. Each introduction was met with cheers from a specific section. Supporters from the contestant's star domain came out in force. It's cruel, 4 law geniuses in one group. Li Qi watched as the participants for Group 88 were called and shook his head. If 4 law-comprehending geniuses were placed together and all attacked at once, even those with a solid chance of surviving might be wiped out. The match confirmed his fear. A domain level 9 contestant, who should have had a decent shot at passing, was eliminated by a law genius. After watching that match, Li Qi left the arena. Sitting through the bouts alone wasn't entertaining enough. He preferred to return to simulated battles and training. The 5th day of the arena melee arrived. In the planar space of the virtual universe, on Island 9527, inside a preparation hall for one of the fighting arenas, contestants sat in chairs, waiting for their group's melee. Whoosh, Li Qi appeared, dressed in black battle attire. He scanned the hall, didn't spot any law geniuses nearby, and moved to take a seat. As he settled, a contestant not far off turned and did a double take. The newcomer's face struck him as familiar. "This person is," the man whispered, then froze. "It's Mad Demon. I'm in the same group as Mad Demon." "Mad Demon. Mad Demon's in our group." "Oh no, with Mad Demon here, we only have 9 spots left to fight for." One by one, the murmurs spread. Soon, everyone in the preparation hall knew that Mad Demon, the top genius of Qianwu Universe Country, had been assigned to their group. Apprehension and calculation rippled through the room. At that moment, a man with 4 arms entered the preparation hall. As he stepped in, he heard the buzz. Everyone was talking about the same name. Mad Demon, they kept saying, and the 4-armed man frowned as he took in the tense faces and the newcomer sitting calmly among them. Chapter 119, Ring Melee begins. This is the Mad Demon, rated the #1 genius of Qianwu Universe country in this peak genius battle. The 4-armed man who had just entered the preparation hall turned and looked at Li Qi, thinking to himself, if I get the chance, I want to fight him. The 4-armed man was from the Ungaro clan, a genius cultivated by the Qianwu Universe country's royal family to do well in the Cosmic Peak Genius battle. Among the hundreds of millions of geniuses raised by the country, his strength ranked near the top. The Ongaro clan was famous across Qianwu Universe country. Its members routinely reached universe rank by adulthood, and as favorites of the state, over 90% of the clan perceived Earth-attributed domains and even Earth laws. He was no exception. With near entry-level Earth attribute law perception and his 4 arms, he wielded 3 original force weapons, 2 of them one-handed warhammers and a 2-handed spiked staff, delivering attacks like a storm. That was why everyone called him Storm. Someone noticed Storm's arrival and whispered, Storm is in this group too. All present were outstanding astral-ranked geniuses, so the whisper carried. A voice answered with surprise, What? Storm is here? The name Storm was nearly as famous as Mad Demon's. Cultivated by the royal family, he had already made a reputation among hundreds of millions of geniuses. In the world preliminary elimination rounds, he'd placed well, taking second in his district, only tens of thousands of points behind first. Li Qi tilted his head and glanced at the 4-armed Ongaro sitting down. He had watched the videos of all the law geniuses. The image of Storm and his weapons popped into his mind. The look lasted only a moment. Unless something unexpected happened, the 2 of them were unlikely to clash in the arena free-for-all. The free-for-all format meant law-focused geniuses rarely faced each other. Losing here was elimination, and most law geniuses didn't want to gamble away their careers. Of course, in a country as vast as Qianwu Universe country, a reckless law genius could still exist who would risk everything to take down a strong opponent. While Li Qi waited in the preparation hall for the upcoming free-for-all, about a dozen members of the Royce family sat in the Lava Empire's spectator section. It had been about 80 years since Li Qi left Kukastar, and 19 had grown from a brat into a handsome, energetic young man. Now he stood on his chair in the stands, one hand shading his brow as he scanned the arena. Why isn't 11 brother on stage yet? He called. 19, you idiot! 18, now graceful and beautiful, though visibly exasperated, yanked 19 down and punched him on the head. Ouch, that hurts. 19 clutched his head and complained. Sister, why did you hit me? Shut up, 18 snapped, delivering another punch. Behave yourself. After the second blow, 19 sat down obediently, muttering, so fierce, no wonder she can't get married. Bang, another punch, and he fell silent, this time fully cowed. 13, who had already entered the stellar cultivation camp, watched his younger siblings bicker and shook his head with helpless amusement. About a dozen Royce family members had come to watch Li Qi. Because the Lava Empire had only a limited number of tickets, most of those present, apart from Li Qi's parents, who were second generation, were third generation family members. Mother Wenni asked softly, When will we see 11? Father Derek replied, All participants will appear after roll call, but will see 11's image during the introduction. As the Royce family talked, the participant introductions began. Ladies and gentlemen, the arena free-for-all for Group 985 is about to begin. Let me introduce the 100 Genius Masters in Group 985. A clear, resonant voice carried through the entire fighting arena, audible even in the preparation hall, and a wave of cheers rolled across the stands. First up, Luke from Qianwu Universe country ranked second in World District 11 during the preliminaries. Thunderous applause shook the preparation hall. Storm Luke, cultivated by the royal family and treated as a directly administered representative of Qianwu Universe country, drew massive support from his compatriots. Next, Li Qi from the Lava Empire ranked 13th in World District 32 during the preliminaries. The cheers that met Li Qi's name were like a rolling storm. The Lava Empire had far fewer citizens present, only hundreds of thousands, but their excitement was no less intense. 19 leapt to his feet, pointing at Li Qi's composed, cold-faced image on the huge light screen. "Look, it's 11, brother. 13, brother, look." 18 tugged at 13's sleeve and stood as well, eyes bright. "It's 11, brother. I see him," 13 said, glancing up at their son's image with clear admiration. Mother Wendy's lips moved as she whispered, 11. Father Derek smiled, pride written clearly across his face. The announcer continued, "Third. Group 985's Arena Free-for-All is about to begin. All participants, please prepare." When the introductions were complete, the commentators' excitement cranked the arena's atmosphere to a peak. Now the countdown begins. 10, 9, 6, 3, 2, 1. Boom! The center of the fighting arena trembled, and the commentator vanished in a flash. At the same moment, 100 figures materialized at different points in the arena's center, some tall and muscular, some covered in fur, some with scales or horns, a riot of diverse forms. Yet despite their differences, all stood bipedal. Chants and names burst from the crowd. "Luke, Yi, Li Qi." The cheers swelled until it felt like the sky itself would split. Inside the combat area, there was a striking silence as all 100 geniuses dialed their focus inward. This free-for-all would last up to 15 minutes. During that time, the combat space would steadily shrink. By the end, the ring would be only 1 meter across. "Battle start!" The deep command echoed through the minds of spectators and combatants alike, and the fight was on. Chapter 120, Crazy Killing. Kill. At the signal, contestants in the fighting arena surged forward toward the nearest enemies. Everyone rushed in, except for the areas around Li Qi and Mad Demon Luke. No one dared approach them. Bangs and clangs filled the arena as 98 contestants tore into each other, splitting into more than 20 chaotic skirmishes. Some fought one-on-one, others ganged up on a lone target. Li Qi hovered above the fray on his wind-piercing shuttle, a fourth-tier mind-energy weapon forming a protective shield around him. A little distance away, Mad Demon Luke stood perfectly still, 4 arms clutching 3 original force weapons, his eyes scanning for any sneaks. With his divided soul, he watched Li Qi and frowned. Li Qi made no move. That puzzled him. As a Psyker Master, Li Qi relied on mobility. As the arena shrank, he would lose that advantage and become easy prey for gangs. Why would he sit still? "Li Qi!" shouted a section of the crowd. "Luke!" cried another. From the stands came proud cheers for the geniuses of the Lava Empire and the Qianwu universe. 3 minutes passed. After several minutes of fierce slaughter, over 40 contestants had already been cut down, leaving just over 50, still far more than the 10 needed to fill the final roster. It's time to end this, Li Qi thought. The intensity of the battle had eased as some tried to fish in troubled waters. He acted. 5 azure wood thorns launched from the green vine pillar behind him. With a flick of his will, 5 cyan streams of light, charged with a trace of wood origin law, sliced outward in different directions. "Mad Demon!" someone shouted, misreading the strike. Mad Demon's expression changed. As the 5 beams streaked across the arena, 3 of them pierced straight through 3 fighters with sickening puffs. The other 2 were partially blocked but still ripped through flesh and dropped their targets. In less than a second, 5 contestants were dead. The remaining fighters trembled. 40-odd had already died in minutes, now 5 fell in an instant. "It's Mad Demon!" a nearby voice cried. Many of the contestants knew the fearsome legend and assumed Luke had finally moved from his watchful post to slaughter. One fighter, mid-duel, screamed when a cyan beam swung toward him. It tore through his opponent and then into him. 2 corpses hit the dirt. Watching Li Qi control the azure wood thorns, Mad Demon Luke felt a strange mix of admiration and alarm. The move made sense. Li Qi was finishing the melee, but the way he manipulated multiple thorns at once showed a depth of power that made Luke uneasy. If Li Qi could simultaneously control 5 such attacks, he might be concealing far greater strength. Luke had once hoped for a fair fight, but now he balked. Li Qi was simply too strong. A contestant cried out and unleashed his domain, slamming the Amplitude's secret runes on his original Force Battle Shield into full activation to block a cyan beam. The shield took the hit with a ringing clang. The man was hurled backward and nearly lost his grip, but he stayed in the arena. He shut his eyes, certain his peak genius battle was over, then opened them in stunned relief when he realized he hadn't been eliminated. He watched as another beam struck a rival's shield and failed to kill. When blocked, the cyan light did not continue its original path. It twisted and hunted a new target. The pattern became clear. If you could block one of these strikes, you survived. If the beam got through you, you died. The fighters scattered. "Flee! Get away from Mad Demon!" someone screamed, calculating inwardly that survival, no matter how luck-driven, was the only path to the top 10 and the one-on-one finals. A cyan streak with a long trailing tail chased a man on a flying mind energy weapon. He looked back in terror as the beam swelled in his vision. "No!" he cried, and the beam punched through him with a hollow ft. Around the arena, cries and clashing shields marked bodies falling one by one. After nearly 10 seconds of hunting, the 5 cyan streams finished their sweep and stopped in front of 2 contestants. A long ringing beep rolled through the arena. The free-for-all was over. Only 10 people remained. So close, the 2 survivors panted, hearts hammering. They had outlived Mad Demon's slaughter and by luck or skill secured spots in the final 10. A contestant who had managed to block an attack watched them with envy. Lucky to have not been struck, they still advanced. As the final roster of 10 was announced, the stands that had fallen silent during Lichi's brutal sweep erupted. Cheers, shouts, and wild applause filled the arena.